Disclaimer, any case file information or data in this video has been ethically obtained from open source material available for public consumption, and any additional analysis or commentary is simply my opinion. Yay! This channel covers a wide variety of subject matter with adult themes at times, and often covers content involving criminal cases, missing persons investigations, as well as all things internet and OSINT related. So please be forewarned, should you be sensitive to these themes. I try my best to be careful, but I'm only human. Although I try to provide vetted information, including official, authentic, and pre-verified material for you, sometimes I do make mistakes or misspeak, and I encourage you to let me know in the comments or by emailing me at obliviousbensonquestion@gmail.com to check me and correct me. Now let's begin, because this is going to be a long trip down to Crazy Town, ladies and gentlemen, as most cases are in Florida. So today, we're going to learn a simple and easy method for how to identify authentic social media accounts and digital footprints to the best of our ability, because we be lacking, y'all. We'll be using STEPHAN STERNS, notorious pervert, the new Yolanda Saldivar, everybody hates him, may he burn in hell, as a case example, the man who was recently charged with 60 counts of crimes against children in relation to the investigation into his missing and later found murdered stepdaughter, Madeline Soto. This is a 3-week-old case approximately. The man is 37 years old. He was referred to as her stepdad. She had just celebrated her 13th birthday, and her case had garnered an overwhelming amount of attention recently, with plenty of information being shared online that is false, be it an account online that people think is him, or conspiracy theorists attempting to exploit her case because they are perhaps mentally unwell or susceptible to tomfoolery online, and some are just genuine red-hot assholes. There are really bad people out there, and they're tripling, they're quadrupling. We're seeing more and more of them every single day, and it's wholly irresponsible. And if I can do anything at all to educate you on how to not be like them or how to spot them and avoid them, I'm gonna do my best. I may be a small channel, but we are mighty, and I think we do have the power to take what information we can spread that provides for positive interneting and really just fact checking cases so that we don't make a snafu. I think that we should do that. Now, in my opinion, while there are genuine assholes out there trying to exploit a case or whatever, most people do have good intentions. Perhaps they are simply not aware of how to suss out what I like to call the bullshit. Now, I got a lot of questions in my recent absence due to chaos theory and my neighbor's nosy construction project ruining my life through email from you guys about this case in particular, as well as a few others. So in an attempt to get 2 birds stoned at once, I've decided to stop everything and dedicate some time to showing you what's fact versus maybe what's fiction here, using one of many methods available to fact check information on high profile cases in part 1 of this part 2 series, maybe even part 3, because this is a long one, on the Madeline Soto case. Part 2 will cover debunking of the conspiracies mainly. This is going to mainly be an accounts heavy episode, kind of more of a how-to techie OSINT like verification, analysis, and interpretation version. This is going to be very heavy in here's what Stephan's, here's what's not, here's indications of potential places he worked or things he did online or dating sites he used, how to figure out that it's him, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, you know, I'm just going to give you a fast rundown of everything that I was able to verify thus far, because he potentially has a lot of, he was very online. Let's just say that. He was very online. However, his username is also shared with a lovely Polish man who appears to love skydiving and is into some kind of weird dating stuff. But, you know, bless his heart, he's having a time of his life. I think he's also getting doxxed a lot right now because people are putting out, creators, if you will, and news entities even have been sharing a Chatterbait account and saying that it's Stephan STERNS, who I will call Steven often because I don't respect him at all and I don't care to learn his name. So basically, a Polish brother out there, poor Polish fella. I say brother because, brethren, I'm part Polish. I'm mostly Polish. I feel bad for the guy. He's getting doxxed. Everybody thinks he's Stephan, so they're just sending him all kinds of hateful hate from, you know, hate from California, hate from Dallas. Everybody's giving their opinion. This poor fella, he probably woke up one morning, went to get his parachute to go skydive, and everybody's telling him to off himself. I feel horrible for the guy. So in an effort to kind of maybe stop that or let you know, like, hey, this account isn't his, we're going to go through all Stephan's accounts in this episode, basically. And I'm going to say up front, the Chatterbait account that everyone's sharing, not Stephan. That's not Stephan. That's the Polish guy. Leave him alone. Anyway, I also want to let you know that in the second video, we're going to be debunking conspiracies. We're going to be answering questions that you guys sent me because I feel like so Duty Ron's talking about this case. And I know Melanie has mentioned me in regards to the Amityville stuff, which we're going to go over a totally separate video because, whoa, what a crazy case. What a doozy. But I think that because I noticed that right after they both aired episodes, his in which he was talking about this one, and I think y'all were talking about digital forensics and stuff, and then after hers, where she was talking about the Amityville stuff, that's when I started getting bursts of the emails, and then right at the beginning of the case, and then there was like 2 conspiracies we're going to talk about. When they came out, I got at least 3 questions on one and 2 on another. For me, that's a lot, because it's like, okay, these people are having a time, so I want to answer your questions. So that's going to be more in the second video, and I'm also going to go over in probably this one, I think we're going to go over some recent cases that happened that are related to social media and app culture in general, since we are going to be referencing some of the apps later in Shitbird's list of all his apps that we confirm, and his digital footprint, and just kind of added information about him. So I did find some work history information that I know everybody's been asking, like, how does this guy make money? What does he do for a living? And I'm telling you, there's ample amount of evidence to support a potential answer to that. And I'm going to give my opinion on that too, and I'm going to show you why. So we're going to get into that later. By the way, I did have to record this in many parts over several days, so expect a lot of costume, hair, and eyebrow changes because my eyebrows are still growing back after a tragic plucking accident. And I just want to point that out so I don't look like some nutbag who changes shirts all day. I do respect water rationing and the rules of laundry. And I do not condone multiple senseless changes of clothing unless you are Cher or Kiss. Okay, everyone. So since recording this video for you, which took many different days, right when I was about to put it out for you, it was announced that there was going to be a press conference with an update in the Madeline Soto case. So I thought, well, I can wait another day. And I wanted to see if there was anything that pretty much I could add on to help guide us or perhaps needed to amend. So yeah, I watched it and not too much of relevance was there that is new that we learned that changes any of the information I provided to you in this video or the other video, other than maybe some supporting validation that Jen seems to be cooperating and has been interviewed by the police. I guess that's good. So I've included it for reference as a companion to this content. And here, check it out.
During our forensic investigation, we uncovered disturbing evidence, graphic images, and videos depicting crimes being committed. It was during this examination that we learned we needed to act swiftly to remove the suspect, STEPHAN STERNS, from our streets. Despite the arrest, our investigation into her disappearance remained ongoing. We understand the importance of thoroughly exploring every lead and piece of evidence. The Kissimmee Police Department, along with other law enforcement agencies in Central Florida, continue their search for Madeline for the next several days following her disappearance, and we turn to the public for help. During this time, our investigators combed through a significant number of tips, and on March 1st, we received information placing Stern's vehicle in a rural area of St. Cloud, where ultimately Madeline's body was discovered. We are all deeply saddened by the outcome of Madeline's disappearance. The Kissimmee Police Department continues to piece together the timeline leading up to the events that occurred. I want to address some questions we are receiving from the media in everyone's effort to keep the community up to date on this tragedy. At this time, Sterns is facing a total of 60 charges related to our investigation. This includes sexual battery, lewd and lascivious molestation, and unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child. These charges reflect the meticulous work of our law enforcement community. Our detectives also are working closely with the State's Attorney's Office for the 9th Judicial Circuit and the Medical Examiner's Office on the investigation. Death investigations are complex. Tasks like forensic analysis and thorough interviews are crucial and require careful attention. It is vital to address these misconceptions in the pursuit of justice while preserving the integrity to the case. During an investigation such as this one, we gather additional information from individuals close to the deceased. Each person interviewed is treated as involved until proven otherwise. This is a standard protocol to ensure all the facts are uncovered. During our investigation, we have interviewed many individuals. Each interview has been vital to our understanding of the case. We are reviewing all of the information we received and are following up on every lead. Attention to detail and the diligence are the most important aspects of this investigation. We are committed to transparency and will provide updates when possible. Madeline's story has touched the hearts of many. Rest assured, our department is diligently working on the investigation. And while we appreciate the public's interest, we must prioritize the integrity of the investigation. We appreciate your support and understanding as we gather the facts. We intend to release additional information in the future, providing more details that we do not compromise the ongoing investigation. We vow to do everything in our power to ensure Madeline's memory is honored with justice. Our detectives are dedicated to pursuing every lead, uncovering every fact, and holding those responsible accountable.
Okay, on to the data. So our first step today will be short and sweet. We're going to gather the OSINT, or open source intelligence, if you will, which is a fancy way of saying gather your chisme into one big pile so that we can separate it later Marie Kondo style. But instead of like keeping what brings you joy, we're going to keep what is a fact or a reasonable conclusion. And we're going to toss out the nonsense that can't be validated or is simply false. We are also going to disprove and debunk a couple of rumored accounts that everybody thinks are his that are not his. Now, this is where we get to the good stuff. Today, I want to show you STEPHAN's accounts. I want to show you the stuff that he has that is definitely him. And I want to show you some of the stuff that is not him and how we know it's not him. Because some of that stuff is what's going around. Like I see a lot of people saying, oops, STEPHAN has chatterbait. People who consider themselves legitimate news sources, actual legitimate news sources. They're not for entertainment purposes. They're not commentary. They are the news. Are reporting accounts that are not his. They're referencing chatterbait. Chatterbait is what it sounds like. I don't think I need to explain it to you with the ending being erbait. Yes, it sounds exactly like something STEPHAN would have. Sure. Totally. Yes. It sounds like something a perv would have. Yes. However, not his account. Not his account. In fact, that account belongs to a poor Polish man who happens to use the same usernames as STEPHAN, who lives in Poland and who likes skydiving. And he's getting his stuff spread all over the internet by people who don't care to at all click on it and go, hey, is this him? Do you think STEPHAN speaks Polish? This is not a guy that speaks Polish. This is not him in any of the videos or anything. Really, all it took was clicking the account and looking at it, and it's written in Polish. This guy is not STEPHAN. He's another guy. He doesn't have the same name. His birth given name is not the same. He just happened to use a variation of the same online handle username that STEPHAN used. And this guy used his many years ago. And he only has a couple of accounts under it. I want to confirm his accounts because I think that social media behavior, it's important. You know, it's just like behavioral analysis of a suspect or, you know, someone who, like a serial killer, for example. They do behavioral analysis to funnel down, to say this is the direction you're looking for based on these facts, right? So we know that this perv did a bunch of pervy stuff, and we know by those 60 counts in that indictment what he did. But people are now diving into his online activity, his behavioral profile of his online footprints, his digital footprints. And they're saying, oh, STEPHAN had this, STEPHAN had that, he had that. Just based on one username, a lot of it's wrong. Some of it's right. And the reason that it's important to know what's wrong or right is, again, we don't want to dox people, you know. Simultaneously, if you want to get an accurate profile, you have to know what accounts are his. If you want to see where people are potentially, you know, getting information, if he were to be distributing this anywhere, does he have the apps for that? How internet savvy is he? A lot of people are speculating, could he have gone on the dark web? Did he have a Tor browser? I'm curious about that as well, but I'll tell you, he has some accounts that make me wonder if he did. He seems to be technically savvy. However, you know, according to his old roommates and friends, he apparently used to peep a lot, got caught doing that. He put CSAM, allegedly, on a network that his roommates could access. That was stupid. It makes me wonder exactly how savvy he was. The fact that he had it all on his phone so readily accessible for the police tells me that this guy was kind of stupid. You know, he might not have been as savvy as he thinks he is. In fact, he's definitely not. But it makes me wonder also if there's any distribution that he did. if that's what they now have to look into. Because think about it. If they have access to his phone right away, right, and they see all this stuff on there and they go, okay, here's 60 charges and we know the dates and we know all that. Okay, that's because it was on his phone. Was it on a cloud or was it on the hard drive of the phone? We don't know. But what we do know is the next step would likely be to start looking at his digital footprint. What else did he have? And did he spread these anywhere? It would be like a 7-hour video. I would love to do a deep dive with you guys one time, or maybe not a deep dive, but just go over the dark web with you, because there's a lot of stuff that I'd like to show you and talk to you about involving that, because I think that people have a really huge misconception about what it is sometimes and what's available and how to access it, and the scary parts versus the not scary parts. Because believe it or not, there's deep web and dark web. They're kind of different. Some people use them to say the same thing, but really imagine a vast wilderness and most of it is bad stuff, but some of it is just being used for the space and it's not bad stuff. Like it's got the same nerdy stuff that the regular internet has. It's got people who love cats, people who want to talk about anime, people who, video game rooms. It's got all the same stuff that regular internet does, but then you also have this vast mountain of just illegal shit going down. And the way that these rooms operate in order to trade and to distribute and to basically provide and exchange CSAM, there's a lot of different court cases that we can reference and a lot of different situations that we have to look back on as far as precedent goes with how people navigate and operate the dark web and how they get busted. One of the things that's really interesting to me is that there is this misconception that you just go there and then you can buy this stuff. Just like, boop, I want to buy some. Let me go buy some dirty stuff. No, that's not how it works. It's usually a situation where, imagine you go into a chat room and there's one moderator, and in order to get into the chat, you have to get past him. So you have to talk to them and you have to get to know them and you have to build a rapport. And they literally, you're chatting with a complete stranger who is grilling you and interviewing you. And they basically tell you, like, I need to know all these things about you. I need to confirm who you are and whether you're not a cop. Say, okay, prove yourself by sharing an original piece of CSAM with me. And then that person has to go get that. That's where the abuse and the creating CSAM comes from. A lot of people who create it to distribute it. And they use that ability to distribute it to swap for other stuff. I did see that in his records, there were things about kids of other ages that people are speculating could potentially not be Maddie. And it makes me wonder now, that is my indicator. I do wonder, was he someone who traded her pictures to get others? I think that the presence of giant file saving accounts on various different servers, things like Dropbox accounts, stuff like that. If he has a Dropbox account with 6 terabytes in it, that's concerning. I don't know if he does. I know Keegan Kline had a massive Dropbox. A lot of people involved in the Indiana stuff had Dropboxes. And they were full of it. And people go, where does this come from? A lot of people assume that because someone has that stuff, that they must have done that to a child, when in reality, a lot of the times it's no better. It's still an awful thing, but they're actually trading with someone who did. And part of the way that they do that, if they were to be on the dark web, is they have to provide content to this person, who then provides them with entry into this room, and then all the pedos can swap their info. Luckily, we have an insanely smart and brilliant branch of cyber experts that work at the FBI who spend their entire lives invading those rooms, shutting them down, and charging people. And there are a couple of cases that we'll go over in the future about that. STEPHAN's amount that he had and his insanely online presence, and by that I mean lots of accounts, does concern me. Does it guarantee that he took part in dark web activities or, trading CSAM, or was he creating it to distribute it? I don't know. But there are red flag indicators that he potentially could have, or he was able to, if you will. However, there are also indicators, such as his stupidity, that make me wonder if he had the presence of mind or intelligence whatsoever to even navigate a Tor browser. I don't know. He seemed to be in a lot of really odd... He had a hacker group account that's like for people who like to hack. And it's just, when you go to it, it's just a very, very basic, like, he was either learning or he got out of it really easy, really quickly because he just couldn't handle it. But it's very entry level stuff. And that makes me wonder if he didn't really know what he was doing. I don't know. But anyway, in this case with Stephan's accounts, while I was confirming them, well, let me go back. I started doing this the day he was on the news. Just because, like you guys, I was like, this is a little weird. You know, the way he was acting and stuff, it was just strange to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing deep dives in research. And, you know, some people might think it's a little creepy to be looking at the Facebook page of a victim's aunt to see what's going on there. It kind of is. But, you know, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at public information. I think there's something wrong with reporting it if it's fake or if you have yet to really verify it and it's something that could harm somebody or end up with somebody getting harassed or doxxed. So for me, I think that when I see something like that, I don't have an issue with like going and looking into it, but I rarely speak on it unless I have something to add. Now in this conversation, right away as I started looking at it, it was like, okay, let's go find what we can, and Sustanet popped up. Sustanet is the name that was attached to his Reddit account, which was fairly easy to find, especially if you knew specific things about him that were available on his Facebook. You can always cross-reference. This popped up pretty quickly. It's easily verifiable. It's definitely him. There's photos of Madeline on it. They're not illicit ones, but he has a photo of her. And with that little bit of information, the amount of stuff we can confirm and find out about him is endless, it feels like. And I say that because I used 9 different pieces of OSINT software to scrape the internet, find everything I could on this guy. And the reason I did it, I'm going to be 100% transparent and honest with you, and you're going to think I'm crazy, and I'm fine with that. I saw him and the way he was acting and the circumstances, because Maddie had just disappeared. We didn't know that she was passed away yet. But I thought, God, this guy looks so much like Ian Watkins. Do you know who that is? Ian Watkins was the lead singer of a band called the Lost Prophets. And they had that one song that was like, tomorrow and something's on my long way home. That was like a great song in the early to mid 2000s. You know, people loved it. And then the lead singer of the Lost Prophets, Ian Watkins, started talking to his fans online and through text and saying, hey, bring me your babies. Show me your babies. And do horrible things. And let me do horrible things with them. What? Huh? That's gross, dude. You're gross. May you rot in hell, Ian Watkins. He got busted, obviously. He was trying to do the stuff Stephan was doing with babies. Yeah. Fuck him, pardon my French. Fuck that guy. He sucks. Like, really, dude? Gross. What a gross human being. May he rot, dude. I saw Stephan and I went, oh my God, that looks like him. I know maybe I'm face blind, but I did ask someone else that's a friend of mine. I was like, do you think that guy looks like that? He's like, yeah. Now, again, this isn't exactly all the reason why, but when I saw him, I was like, is this a genetic thing? My brain went immediately to, Florida? And he looks like that? And he used to work at Disney, they say? I had to. There were 2. I mean,
show you a tour of our laboratory here today.
And if you want to be one of those people who's like, Kat, what do you mean Disney? How could you say that? A lot of people like Disney. We'll talk about it in a minute. I see, in some instances, I see Disney as a red flag, dude. I mean, if you're not a little girl or a little boy and you're super into Disney, like super into it, it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird to me. It's just my opinion. But anyway, I saw we had a perv alert, and here we go. Let's talk about Stephan's accounts and how we found them first. Like I said, I used 9 different pieces of OSINT software. I used a ton of stuff that's a little bit highly technical that I don't have time to show you today, but for the sake of brevity and giving you something that you can use in the future that is easy, we're going to go back to what'smyname.app, okay? And we're just going to do a small portion of his accounts. We're not going to do all of them. There's no way we could. It would take me years. Not really years. It would probably honestly be like a 20-hour video. I wouldn't get any sleep. And it would be highly technical on half of it at least. So it's just like I can't teach all that right now. But I can teach you some basics because what'smyname.app actually pulled up a lot of accounts that are available also using the more technical apps. So I think it gives you a good place to start and a good bulk amount of the ones that are most active recently. And the thing I like about it is it does separate the recent active accounts from the ones that haven't been used in a while or might be someone else, and then the ones that are dead accounts where an account was opened and then it was either never used or the app shut down. So what I want you to do, if you haven't seen the video, there's Simple Easy OSINT freebies where I introduce this app to you, and then there's one called screen name scanning on my page. If you go watch screen name scanning, you're going to learn how to use this app. 100%, it's very easy. It's actually an open source desktop available app too. It's not something you need to download at all. So what's my name.app? Just go to it real quick. We know that his name is Sustanet. We know that there are 2 variations of it. On his Instagram, he uses _Sustanet_, and then on his Reddit, he uses Sustanet. Now, this guy doesn't just have one account under one screen name. He has other accounts under others, but this is the popular one, and this is the one that he has a bulk of his main accounts that are active on. So that's why we're going to use it. First thing I would do is run that through what's my name.app, and you're going to see a bunch of results. All right? Now, I've already gone through and checked almost all of them. It took forever. And luckily, I did this the day of that interview after I was like, ooh, it looks like Ian Watkins. Because if I had waited to do it until recently, I wouldn't be able to verify some of this stuff. And I'm going to tell you why. Because in Texas, in the time from the day the interview came out until today, which is, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks, a couple weeks later, our politicians said, listen, no more Pornhub unless you age verify. That's what, I got lost. That's what we were talking about earlier. You have to have an ID and you have to give it to Pornhub to verify your age. And Pornhub said, hey, that's bullshit. Why? Like, that's inhibiting freedoms. And what are we, China? This is what people have said. I told my mom and she was like, nah. Like, even my mom was like, that's crazy. And the reason given for them doing this was to fight against trafficking and the exploitation of underage teens, kids. Fair enough. Love that. Love fighting exploitation. Absolutely. Love fighting trafficking. I'm down. Here's the problem, though. It's not even about our freedom. I, for one, don't like nudity. I don't watch porn, and I think it's gross. I'm like, ugh, get it away from me. Not judging anybody who takes part in it. I just think it's not for me, y'all. Not into it. I don't want to see your feet, mainly. I don't like feet at all. It's so gross. So I don't want to see feet or anything else. So for me, it's no big deal normally. But the problem is Stephan had a Pornhub account. Now, the day that I went to verify, is it his? Pornhub was available. I could go look at it, and I saw his account, and I was able to take screenshots. Whew, thank goodness. Because when I went earlier this week to pull it up so that I could, take another screenshot and see if anything had changed, i.e. if there was anybody else who had access to it, it wouldn't let me. I got this. I'll show you right now. Here's a graphic of what pops up. Now, what I was already showing you earlier were Steven's accounts, or Stephan, or dipshit, or dirtbag, or pervert, or chomo, or whatever you want to call him, allegedly. That was basically what it looked like when this case first started. So right away, as I go access any accounts I can to verify if they're his based on the data I was able to find and what was eventually confirmed by the rest of the internet, I mean, it was him. It was his pictures. It was everything. Whenever I did it back then, I could see everything. I could see all his little awards for how long he's been perving, all that stuff. Now, when I look here, and again, I'm not saying anybody who looks at porn is a perv. I'm just saying he's a perv based on what we know now. But the point is, I could see his quote unquote achievements, which also that's a wild thing, that looking at porn is an achievement now. That like they're giving participation trophies for everything. The point is, we've got Pornhub right here now. This is what it looks like today. This is what happens if you live in the state of Texas and you go to it. In an effort to essentially stop sex trafficking online, sharing of underage content, sharing of any illegal content, and especially the fact that you're catering to people who could just be lying about their age when they enter the site. We need you to enter this age verification, process. You need to do something. And Pornhub is saying here, what are you talking about? This is impossibly hard feat for us to do without some sort of guidance on what to ask for. Like, basically, you're making us come up with a whole compliance, department that we can't possibly have. Like, think about it. If they want it, they would literally have to change the way their website functions. That's going to require a lot of coding. There's going to be issues with that as far as bugs go and as far as checks and balances go, hiring people to do it or facing an automated system. Just being able to tell, like, is this a fake ID or a real ID? What if you have an out-of-state ID, but you live in Texas? Also, people don't want to be on a list. People don't want others to know, hey, I'm looking at porn. Maybe the preacher's wife is going to see. That's the way normal Americans are thinking. Now, do I agree with this? Not that it matters, but I do have some issues with it. While I understand, obviously, that this is messed up for victims who cannot get Pornhub to listen. But my issue is this kind of scares me in the same way that when prostitution went from outside to inside, it became trafficking for a reason. Like, it was always kind of trafficking, but it was out there in the public. You saw the women on the street. You could identify them. You knew who they were. The police, when the internet got really, really big, had a whole new thing to fight. And that thing was prostitution and sex trafficking has gone indoors. Sex work is now indoors. It's also online. And how do you find someone committing it if it's all streamlined on the internet? How do you bust people if people aren't out walking the streets for you to just openly see an open market of sex trade going on? So in that respect, not only did it move online, but it thrived. It thrived because of the secrecy. Now we're starting to see a situation where every single time one of these gets shut down, a whole bunch more spring up in its place. Now, it's not just Pornhub. A couple of the bigger ones are being subject to this ban, where, you have to provide some sort of age verification in order to enter the website. And most people are saying, hey, this is just about viewing, Kat. What are you talking about? Just show them your ID. Again, it's not just about that, in that it's not just about people viewing it for pleasure or having the right to view it. I think the issue stems with victims who are trying to find their own content. I know that I would feel really uncomfortable having to prove myself to someone who is selling content of me illegally. I feel like if I were a victim who was put on this website and then I had to go on it and prove, hey, here's my ID, here's my personal information to the people who are the purveyors of pornography that is illegal of me. Here's my private personal information, people who are openly exploiting me. I mean, that's kind of a scary thing for a victim. Simultaneously, how did that work out in the past? Let's look at Backpage. You go today. What do we see? It's been seized. Nobody can go to it. And right here, the Office of the Texas Attorney General cannot go. No way. As of April 6, 2018. Nope. Why? Because people were selling sex. So what happened then? Now, when you type in Backpage on Google, here's what you get. I get an Austin because I'm in Austin. I get an Austin version of Backpage called O Backpage, which is the same thing. I'm not going to click on it because it's really dirty. Then we have Austin.2backpage.com. Then we have Star Backpage. And then we have various other sites, O Backpage, just over and over. And even this is just a couple. I mean, Backpage Locals. There are another 2 Backpage. There are so many different carbon copies or mirrors of old sites that are simply just changed with one letter, and they're still doing the same thing. So aside from a basic URL change, nothing is really different. And look at this one. This is what's interesting right here is we've got, where is it? Right here. This is a city guide for Austin Backpage called Backpage Alter. It's basically a mirror site. It does the same thing Backpage did, as does Yes Backpage. And see right here how it says get contact number, Snapchat ID, Kik, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp ID. These are the exact, aside from, Facebook really, and Instagram, which a lot of people have. What were we talking about in my past videos? Snapchat, Kik, WhatsApp. You're going to see a lot of Telegram. These are the encrypted apps that I was talking about that are used for this kind of stuff. So even if they shut down Backpage, there's still 20 more in its place that popped up right after. And now there's a whole new way to pay for your goods and to advertise them, being all of the apps listed. They are posting ads for these women, girls, boys, men. All of these people are getting posted across multiple social media platforms, encrypted ones, because they had to get around this very public one that the FBI could have easily used as like a fishing expedition, if you will. They could have worked out a deal where, hey, give us some IP. There, so many things could have been done to just monitor it properly, or to maybe put pressure on them to monitor. But instead, they just immediately shut it down, which led to a massive boom and influx in more back pages. So just like they say, if you pluck a hair, 2 more will grow back. What's going to happen with Pornhub? If people don't go to Pornhub in Texas. They're going to be going to other sites. And those other sites are going to pick up a ton of traffic. That means they're going to get a ton of advertising. That means they're going to have more money. And now instead of competing against one person to try to figure out where this content is coming from, if it's illegal, you've now got to scan multiple entities. And the most popular one is likely not going to have it. So in a way, it feels like you're shooting yourself in the foot. And that's why I was bringing up, when they took prostitution off the streets and it went underground, it boomed. Because now it's less scary. Now there's less risk and it's more socially acceptable. I'm worried that that's going to happen here. I really am. And this is the type of stuff that we're going to see on a regular basis. Is it? I have different reasons for finding this bothersome. And it is that I think it makes it more difficult for victims to spot content of theirs popping up. It really puts the onus on a website of public information that is an archived peer uploading sort of situation. Like anybody can upload and anybody can comment. There's peer-to-peer communication on it, but it's not private. It's public. So now is it going to go private? That scares the hell out of me. Anyway, I just had to go on a little rant about that because I really feel very strongly, and I know that took forever and I'm sorry, but I'll even speed it up so you don't have to listen to all of it. But let's keep going with the rest of the video. First step 1. Sustanet this way in this format, and then this way with the underscores. We put those in. We put all because we don't want to exclude NSFW. So now it should be searching basically 625 sites for this and this one. So we should get over 1,200 scans here. So let's go ahead and hit search. Now again, I used 9 different OSINT tools. Those were varying across different platforms, and some of them is software that I have, and some of them are kind of complicated. Like you got to do a bit of learning to figure out how to work them and how to interpret them and how to navigate them. And it would really be like a year-long college course to teach some of it. Some of it involves some technical stuff that it's not really going to serve you well, especially since What's My Name Web comes back with some actually pretty fairly decent results. Because remember, what we're looking for is just his screen name. It's not going to tell us, is this STEPHAN or not? It's just going to tell us who's using this screen name. Now, he has a very rare screen name. I've only seen 4 accounts across all of the different tools that I've used and all of the research I've done. And I'm talking, like 2 weeks now of research. I can tell you that there are maybe 3 or 4 actual real humans who have used his screen name. One of them is a gentleman out of Poland who's really into skydiving. We'll see him in a minute, but we're not going to dox that guy. I just want to show you how to suss STEPHAN out from these dudes. We're going to see him riddled throughout here, and that's probably a good thing because that is good for a teaching tool. We wouldn't have anything to weed out if there wasn't anyone else, right? It's a bad thing in that a lot of people are probably assuming that those are STEPHAN's social media footprints. And I mean, I don't give a shit if you judge STEPHAN or not. He sucks, but I think that for the sake of having an accurate behavioral profile of him as far as his online behavior goes, or places to look to see if he has done anything nefarious involving the type of charges he has, it would be a shame to attribute that to another individual who is totally innocent of that sort of thing. So that's why we do this. We go through and we're going to basically click on each of these and we're going to see what pops up. Now, what I like to do is I like to click on them, and then when they pop up, at that point, I can go through and I can see, like, what is this person about? Is it STEPHAN? So first, let's do eBay. And we're just going to do the positives right now. See how it says Poland right there? And I told you about that Polish guy? Well, the way I kind of learned about that Polish guy was because I went through all these accounts, and let's go ahead and open them all. So we've got all of them open, nice and open, so we can see them. And then, okay, and by the way, I am on a desktop, so some of the access to some of these is going to be a little wonky, but I went ahead and I've already done my research on these, and I can just tell you straight up what's his and not his, but I also want to show you. Although some of them, it's going to be a little impossible, so I'll just tell you. But here we go. So we've got Poland, Sustanet. Is this Steven? There's no feedback, positive, neutral. We don't know if this is a seller account or a buyer account, really. But what we do know is it says Poland. We're not even going to trust that yet at this point. If I were just looking at it for the first time, I would just kind of put this to the side, leave it open. Now we come over here. What's that? It's Dirty Pervert's face. Okay, we know this is STEPHAN. So right here, it looks like this is a list of his favorite items. He likes these weird beads. Okay, strange. Anyway, he's a gamer nerd, so it makes sense that he's into like D&D type stuff and weird, stupid, lame-looking stuff. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to crap on these creators or these makers. I just don't. I don't get it. So over here, we've got a couple of different things like soul pens. It's a lot of fantasy gaming stuff, right? We've got dice. We've got this weird Cthulhu hammer thing. I don't know what this is. Anyway, this is his Etsy for sure. He has an Etsy account. We can go to view profile, and this is basically what we see. We see his favorite shops. We see his favorite items. You could go in there and see what his favorite shops are, his favorite items, and draw conclusions from that. But I would just draw the conclusion that he's a dork. Okay, now, Image Shack. This person has no images, all right? They've got no albums. However, this is a storage type of website. It is a US website, and it makes me wonder, it makes me want to assume this is STEPHAN. There are some very technical ways in which we can suss out if it's STEPHAN. I don't have time to show you that. It would seriously take years and a lot of like computer stuff. So I'm just gonna tell you right now, this is STEPHAN. He doesn't have anything on it. But it doesn't, it doesn't really matter because there's nothing on it, but it is interesting that he has an Image Shack, and at one point in time he could have put something on it. So that's somewhere that I would check the background of if I were obviously like doing a forensic breakdown of his digital footprint. This is definitely him. So we know that the Etsy is him. And we know that the eBay is still Poland. So let's go through our little list right here. Let's go through this little list real quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Etsy, which we know is his, the Image Shack, which I personally confirmed using other software that I don't have time for, but don't worry. The rest will be useful. The eBay, though, that's not looking like it's his because it's a Polish guy, right? So we're going to put a red on that. Now, normally I would put an orange until I confirm the existence of Polish guy, but I'm telling you he exists. We'll see it later down here, so let's just go ahead and put the red there. So we know that's not his account, right? The Imgur is definitely him. It was started in 2020, and one of the ways that we can tell it's him is check this out. Tamagotchi, guys. Remember, this was on his Reddit account. He's got comments about it. He's got a list of favorites with a file folder in here, and he's got his posts. He's got Warhammer. He's got these weird little figurines. I used to work at a comic book store for one summer, and a lot of this stuff is just, again, it's gamer nerd stuff. It goes to his personality and what he likes, so we know the Imgur's him. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my list, and I'm going to go ahead and put that and make it yellow, which is my indication that this is STEPHAN's account. Now we're going to go to Kik. This is difficult because, first of all, I'm on a desktop. You can see the profile pic that is used on Kik if you had the Kik app installed on your phone as a user. I do not have it anymore. I just did it to literally verify, and then I did some background stuff and discovered that this is STEPHAN. He does have a Kik. We know about his Reddit. There is so much going on here with his Disneyland comments. He's obsessed with Disney. It is very weird. I did notice substitute teachers. See how he talks about, I was like that in high school, blah, blah, blah. But he also speaks as if he was a substitute. It's interesting that he is in the sub. It makes me think that at one point or another, he might have actually been a substitute teacher. Because who would be in that subreddit if they weren't? I find that very weird. So as far as jobs and stuff goes, I do wonder if he was a substitute in the public school system, and if so, I would be very concerned. That freaks me out. He also talks a lot about cast members and working at Disney, and he did this long before he was caught. And so that makes me think he did, in fact, work for Disney, in addition to the pictorial evidence that we have. So I want to go to my little list here. And under jobs, whoops, I'm going to put substitute teacher, ? And Disney. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because, again, I'm doing a little bit of a profile here. I just kind of want to check him out, see what's going on here. And pretending I just saw this case for the first time, that's what I would first notice. I'd be like, okay, substitute teachers. Look, he keeps commenting on these various subs, like advice for teens. That's another one. That is strange to me. A safe space for teenagers and young adults. He is neither a teenager nor a young adult. That bothers me. It really bothers me. He's on multiple Disney sites. He's on a Springfield Armory site. He's on Ask. He's on Am I the Asshole? Would I Be the Asshole Public? And it has to do with for calling my cops on my girlfriend for pulling a gun and threatening to shoot our dogs. You're not the asshole. Of course he would think that. What an idiot. Anyway, he's into Tamagotchi. A lot of people think that's super weird in the D&D thing. I just think it's nerdy shit that adults sometimes like. I highly doubt that, a young girl would be that into that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't say that that's so much luring or predatory. It's just like nerd stuff. But then you get here and it's like, oh, this is intense nerdery. This is kind of weird. Now it's getting overwhelming. He's into metal detecting. Okay. He's into World of Warcraft. Guns, guns, guns. He's super into guns. He's super into knives. If you go to his Facebook, you will see that. He likes to give his opinion on what teens should do. He likes to gripe about Disney. He's in the Epcot, the Digimon, the lightsaber. Like, this is just a dude who's nerdy. Now, look right here. Yep, this tracks. And it's got a bunch of stuff on it, including, like, the 3 main subs that he's in where he gets the most gifts. And look how he even made his avatar look like him. A lot of people do that. Now, one thing, the reason I'm pointing that out, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that when you see someone who uses a similar avatar, I do wonder if he had a secret Reddit account, if he also made an avatar that looked like that, the exact same one, because it's easy. And I have seen people do that. Now, we've got him in a millennials group. Is he a millennial? I don't think he is. Okay, keep going. He might be, actually. He might fall on the cusp. Evangelion, that's like some old anime stuff. Now, one of the reasons, Kroger. One of the reasons that I'm kind of still going through all this is because I want you to kind of get a profile of this guy. He's into a lot of like gaming and teen boy to adult man type of stuff. He's into a lot of RPGs, role play games is what that means. LARPing, like nerd stuff, nerf, literally. But simultaneously, he's into anime, and that's going to be important in a little bit. And I'll tell you why, but keep that in mind. So we keep going, and we've got Green Lantern, we've got Digimon. We could just go back and back. Now, the thing about Reddit that's also cool is that you can go up here and you can go to new, or you can sort by what he has the most votes on. So if you go to top, this is like what he got the most comments on, what people liked the most as far as things that he's posted right there. See, remember in Etsy, he was trying to buy these. And then over here on Reddit, we see him painting one that was for sale on Etsy. So that's a way that you can cross-reference to confirm. We see all these pictures on various accounts. And look right here. This dude has a lot of history. He apparently spends most of his time playing with these toys and making this stuff. And I see a lot of people go, what did he do for work, right? Like, what did this guy do for work? What did he do for a job? Let me tell you something about this kind of stuff. If you play Warhammer, if you play World of Warcraft, if you play any of those games, you can make so much freaking money creating, buying, and selling these hobby toys, these figures. You can make a shitload of money by playing a game, building up a character, and then selling it. I had a friend that I used to work with who played World of Warcraft, and she built up her warlock or whatever to level 70. So I don't know what it was. She built up her warlock to have all this power, and she spent all this time creating this character that was massive and had like a ton of whatever points on it. I don't know. It took her forever. And she sold it to someone for like $6,000. Like, basically she created this account, gave them the account and password in exchange for money. And she would just play video games all day and do this to make money. And back then, you know, she would get it transferred to her PayPal, but now people have Cash App, they have Venmo, they have all these different things. So when I see this amount of stuff being created by this guy, painted, played with, bought, and then posted, it makes me go, I wonder if this was the type of stuff that this guy was doing. And we saw this picture in this item. I mean, if he sat around all day doing this and then selling it, yeah, that's probably how he made money. I would be willing to bet that. In addition to, at one point, working at Disney. And then, remember, we saw that other substitute teacher thing. I do wonder, was he a sub? That's scary. That means he was around kids more. That's terrifying. So, yeah, when I see this, it's a lot, dude. It's a lot. And here's the thing. Let's go to his posts. Let's do his top posts of all time, because I want to see what his posts are. Because it's different than if you post something versus, if you're commenting on something. Okay, so he's got a lot of like gamer stuff. Again, he's got that weird ring. See right here? He's like showing off all these different gaming devices that you can kind of buy and build on your own. And then he's purchasing a lot of these, by the way, Digimon and various items that he shows. You order them really cheap from Japan. And he's got some history of talking about that. And so when I saw an account on What's My Name, not even What's My Name, this one popped up. Maybe it was What's My Name, actually. It did pop up in false positives on here, I think. But it also popped up in a couple of other forums. And it popped up in and some of the other software that I used. Yeah, it is on here. Okay. So basically there are yen trading sites and sites where you can get Japanese currency and transfer it. And there were a lot of Japanese sites that are similar to like our eBay, but for just gaming. Those accounts I was able to confirm were his simply because in order to get some of these items that we see on his Reddit, he would have to order them specifically from there. I'm not going to go through all of them. That would take all day, but I'm telling you there are some of these items, not the Nerf, but some of the others that you would literally have to get there. I also find it weird how obsessed he was with Disney's Wakana. That is weird to me. Jesus. So this guy, these are all his posts. So some of these Tamagotchis too, like you have to get, like some of them are very rare. Believe it or not, I don't give a shit about Tamagotchi, but I spent so much time looking into Tamagotchi. I know everything about it at this point. And I'm telling you, there are some that you just have to get there. So anytime you see like a yen site or something to deal with currency conversion, that's Steven's account. I guarantee it. If it's under Sustanet. See this? He's got like all his posts are just this. It's crazy. It really is. It's so obsessive. And I love wrestling and I have a ton of wrestling stuff and old figures and I collect vintage toys for wrestling, but like the amount of money that this would cost, because these are like collector's items that kids are obsessed with, pins and stuff like that. Oh my God, they can go for so much on eBay. So I'm thinking that this guy, he's at Epcot a year ago. Ew, feet. So this guy, Chamoy, we have those here. Okay, we know that he drinks now. I would add that into my list. What does he say here? I didn't use any of the manga. This guy's look at all this stuff. He's got all this crap. Where does he get it? You know, does she work and then he takes the money? They had a wild mama duck resting behind their house. Like this stuff is so expensive. You have no idea. Like it is expensive. We know he orders off Amazon now. You know, so the Amazon account that we find, likely his. Okay, I could go through this forever, but I just want you to see, like, these are the type of things that he's into. All right? And then he's got all those little characters to protect them. Magnetized players. Now, I know Blood Bowl sounds terrifying, but it just has to do with, like, some of this weird art stuff where he makes things that look real and then puts his characters on them. Like, that's basically going to be the base that holds his character up. So, yeah, as we go through, I mean, you could just scroll down and down and down, and you can see all of the different things he does. Look at him. He's got all this sprawled out. How long ago was this? 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, he's still playing with these toys. All right? So why is this important? This is important because we know that this guy doesn't have a steady job. Everybody's asking, what's his income? What's his income? Where's he getting it? Well, I think it has a lot to do with, especially because of the existence of the Etsy account. I think it's this. And his Etsy account had a lot of similar stuff. Now, this one we know is a Polish guy, so it's not his eBay account. He definitely has to have an eBay, I think. He uses Amazon for sure. And he uses Etsy. So we also will see a Poshmark account under him. We're going to see a bunch of different buying and selling accounts. We know this Periscope is his. Again, this is one of those ones that involves some scraping and some other technologies that I can't really show you, but I can tell you this is him. Simply based on his name. Remember, we just searched under Sustanet. The fact that the name matches, definitely him. Okay? But I also confirmed it using some background information. Okay, so let's go back over here and let's keep looking at these accounts, okay? Because so far we've confirmed the Reddit, we've confirmed the others. So these are the other found accounts. Let's go ahead and let's go to Roblox. Now I can tell you right now, the Roblox account is him. He also has a couple of different accounts with different gaming systems that, see how it says Dragon Tamer? He references a Dragon Tamer badge in his Reddit, but he has a couple of other accounts that reflect the same date, around 2018 in the summer. So he's home playing a bunch of video games, playing Roblox in the summer of 2018 at some point. Then we have Scratch. This is a coding website. See how it says teacher account from Poland? This is our Polish fellow. So the Scratch is not his. Scratch is also not a commonly used account here. So we're going to come down to Scratch and we're going to X that out. This is not STEPHAN. Now we're going to go here and we know that these are him. Based on the name link, based on other stuff, like Well, the Periscope had the name link. The Kick, you have to get an app to figure it out. But when you do get it, it is him. It actually has a picture of an avatar that he uses on others. The Reddit, we know for sure is him. The Roblox, we know for sure is him. So now let's go to Snapchat. I don't know if this is actually going to pull it up on here because I did have to download this and pull it up on a phone earlier. But I'm going to see if it'll pull up on here because I feel like it might. Yep, there we go. Okay. So STEPHAN uses this avatar as well and posts his Snapchat in a post on, I believe it's Facebook, but it might be Reddit. So this is definitely him. And look, has his name. So now we know he has Snap. Now Snap, just like Kick, why do you have that, dude? That is something that I would question. That is a red flag app to me for an adult male who is not working in entertainment, who is not like promoting something like a band, a comedian, a singer, a person, a realtor even. But this guy, he's not practicing realty right now, which I'll show you how I know that later. But it's weird. It's just weird. This is a kid app. Like a lot of kids use this in teens. Why do you have it? A lot of kids use Kick in teens. Why do you have it? I get it. You're a gamer. Maybe that's why you have that. Etsy, probably to sell his weird little figurines. Then we have TikTok. Let's go there. Okay, I'm probably going to have to edit out most of the search on TikTok. You can go to it, but basically there's only one person following him, and he's following one person who you can't see, but the person who's following him you can. And it seems to be a young girl from possibly another country, and she seems to be Latin American. It makes me wonder, could this be him? I did a little background research on it. I think it might be, but there's also a chance that this is an account that was possibly set up a little more recently, so it might not be. That's a tricky one. I would put that TikTok in the maybe pile. Although, TikTok for me, it's just you have to go through so much to confirm. And because there's nothing on it, it seems to just be communication with a person. I don't want to dox them, so I'm not going to open that link. But I will say that that's unsure, but it doesn't really matter if it is or not because, I mean, there's no content on it. He seems, if it is him, whoever it is, open it to talk to that one person. I'm not going to bother that person today. But yeah, I would just, I mean, it kind of, again, it doesn't matter. There's nothing to really glean from it other than there's a young, pretty lady from Latin America that he seems to have followed and follows him, or vice versa. She does look of age. I don't know. But yeah, it could also potentially be Polish guy. Maybe he's got a girlfriend in another country he's talking to. I don't know. But this is a maybe. So I'm going to just consider it. This, again, because there's nothing on it that we can really glean from it. I'm going to put a red through it. Now, then we have Twitter archive. All right. This is a link that obviously someone archived on way back because this user, their X account is no longer active, right? So you have to use Wayback Machine in order to see it. So we're going to pop that open and we're going to look at it and see what they're talking about. See right here? When you open the Wayback, it shows you September 28th, 2021. This was captured. So this was way before the situation with Madeline. And right here, we see this is him. That's him. That's STEPHAN. So we know that this is his. Huh. Ugh, God, he's annoying. Anyway, we're going to go through and we're going to mark this as him. We're going to make it yellow. Okay, then we're going to go to YouTube user Sustanet. And here is what we're going to find on these. I'm just going to tell you right now, Polish guy loves skydiving, and I love that for him. He's not our STEPHAN. He's not our dirty perv. This is just some guy in Poland living his best life, and these are his uploads. None of these are Steven. I've watched almost all of his Basano 2014. This guy speaks Polish. It's not Steven. It's just obvious. I mean, on this one, you could just use common sense. It's not him. At that point, I can safely go through and put the red on here, right? And here's the thing. I've already done this. I have a whole page with about 1,000 of these listed that I went through and did. So forgive me if I sound winded. I'm just like, just having to look at this again. It's a lot, you guys. But I want to teach you, so it's important, and I'm doing it. Okay, so then we go here, and look, another Sustanet, same channel, same guy. So it provided us dupe results for two different users that are both Polish guys. So now we have, these are literally, at this point, these are not STEPHAN or not important. And then these are STEPHAN. So what I would do is I would then just take these. Well, what I would do is I would take them out, but for the sake of having the information so that if you see it again, you can go, oh, hey, that's not the guy. You could also keep this list as it is. And after you do this, here's the fun part. You guys are going to love this. Then you go to false positives. and you go through all of these and you do the same thing. Isn't that fun? And look at how many there are. And this is under the underscore and the regular sustenat. Now, here's the thing. Spoiler alert. This one, Haname, definitely him. Some of them are hentai, which is a version of porn that is cartoon. Some of them are not him. Zillow is him. BDSM Singles is him. Rant.li is not him. Cheeseburger is not him. I'm not going to click on all of them. It would take forever, but I can tell you that there are some that are definitely not him. And you can tell because they belong to our Polish guy. See this? This is tagged. This is that dating one I was talking about right there. Now see how it pops up and you can see nothing? I had to open a tagged account. There are two different tags that pop up here. One is for underscore, one is for regular. One of them is him and the other is someone else. So you have to get an account to see. But I can tell you, one is and one isn't. There's an Xbox game tag on there. There's just for fans, which is like OnlyFans. There are a lot of these that I went through that are kind of disturbing, and some of them that are not at all, and some of them that are related to the type of nerd stuff he likes. And by the way, I don't use nerd as a bad word unless I'm talking about him. So then we go here, there's Instagram, see? And that's him. But notice that it was in the false positive list. That is because they just couldn't confirm it. So that's why you have to go through each one and click it. And do you see how many there are? So that's what I've been doing while I've been gone, you guys. Going through all of these. This one really bothered me. This is Cowboys for Angels. Elite straight male companions for women. What a weird thing to have. Now, what's interesting about this is that STEPHAN is not attractive. He's a disgusting piece of shit. There is no account under Polish guy. This must be STEPHAN. Was he trying to be a gigolo? Was he? That's crazy and disgusting. Ew, dude. Is that how he made his money? I don't know. I doubt it. I don't know anyone who would pay for that. He's nasty. Now look here. We see Foursquare. Do you remember Foursquare? I remember it as being an app where you could see exactly where anybody was, right? He has a Foursquare account, but Foursquare itself, there's no way to confirm that. So I would be interested to see if it pops up on anything. He's got Twitcasting. That's him. There's a lot of these accounts. DeviantArt. There's a Tap Attack account we just passed. I mean, I would love to just go through and show. Look, here's the Poshmark. See how it says this page couldn't be found the other day? It could be found. So I do wonder if Jen shut that down because it was open. We've got a PayPal here under the lowercase sustenat. Can't find this profile. So for that one, we just put me. I don't know. Now, as I go on and on, see this one, Massage Anywhere. Profile unavailable for sustenat. This is why it's in a false positive, because this was likely shut down. Now, here's one of the things about this that makes me think it is Steven. Because when you search under another version of sustenat, there is a page that pops up. I wish I would have saved it. Anyway, there is a page that pops up, and it does have Miami listed on it, so it makes me wonder if he was using that massage website. Then we have Fab Swingers. This user is not on the site anymore. That means he shut it down. Now, I used two other software programs, one that kind of it dehashes stuff, and it shows you essentially accounts that have been compromised or accounts that maybe the password got lost or it got phished, it got scammed. You can use Have I Been Pawned, stuff like that. And on that one, it attached to his email. So that makes me think that the BDSM and a couple of others, I know the FARC is him. That's actually a Florida-based guy, I think, at FARC. I used to read that news site. It's just a guy making fun of the news. But it's also big among gamers. Casting Call Club, there are a lot of these that are very specific porn-based sites. Now, anything that ends in a .pl is going to be a Polish site. You can take that out. Now, like I said, I would love to go through the entire list with you. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tell you the ones that I pulled out because, again, it would take so long. But I did want to show you how I got to these conclusions in the easiest, most basic way that you can also do. Now, it would take forever to go through all of them. But if you are that interested, you can go through them too. You can do the same thing we just did. You can download every single app that you need to find out. You know, if it tells you, oh, you have to be on this app to find out, then do that. Because that's what I did. And I collected results for you. And I'm still not done. There's so many. But the ones that I thought were red flags or were concerning, I took note of, and those were the ones that I investigated. And then I will show you my results, and then we're going to talk about them. This is definitely his Instagram. Okay. So let's talk about those. Now, I have already gotten through about 75% of them. And I would say total on all of these, on What's My Name and all the other methods I used, using cross-referencing, which we can do by simply looking through here as well. For example, we see a lot of different likes, right? Now, let me show you something. As we go down here, we see Crypterium, we see Cosmic Fog Vapors, and we see Crypto Hustlers, and we see Digimon, of course. Now, as we go through our What's My Name, we're going to see a lot of crypto. We're going to see a lot of Digimon. And what's interesting is some of these specific sites that come back in our OSINT Combine also are listed as his likes on his Facebook. So this is another way that we can kind of go shoot across and cross-reference and see what's what, okay? So this is a very, very useful tool. And I think that while, you know, we can never be 110% unless we link it with a couple of other methods, be it email or IP address, that's going to take the normal person who is not super tech savvy or maybe not, you know, not just really good with computers. Maybe you're just kind of not very advanced technically. That's okay. These are simple ways to just do the basic cross-referencing and checking and confirmation. If you want more detailed absolutes, that's going to take a lot of work. You're going to have to pretty much learn a lot of things that are going to be very complicated. It's going to take time. But if you want to do it, there are so many tutorials you can use online. You can go back to school. You can just get heavy into coding. I don't know. You'll figure it out. But the point is, if you want to just basically do the bare minimum of research needed to what I would say be confident enough to go on television and make statements, the least you could do is this. Something minimum. This is easy, okay? So when I see YouTube creators, news sources, big media entities go out and say that they have not verified this account or this person or this bit of information, I say, why the fuck not? Because there are really basic things that you can do just like this. In fact, specifically this, that will give you information that will tell you whether or not someone's statements are credible, someone's accounts are credible, the information being provided to millions of people are credible. And I'm just seeing so many people skip that and take it at its word from, you know, from people who have screenshots. Just go look yourself, okay? Also, again, don't forget you can filter everything down if you just want to look at specific things. Now, after you spend your entire weekend individually verifying each account, you can until your brain is so fried that you begin to talk like Nell from the hit movie Nell. You're going to want to enjoy some more eye bleach. So here, maybe this will help. Okay, so after we pull out the ones that we are sure about, and then we separate and reorganize, readjust, get our not sure pile in there, and then get our absolutely no, we're going to move on to basic data beyond just using the software above, and we're going to go beyond snooping through each link, okay? So when I finished with all the account verifying, I ran a basic search of his background using both white pages and a few additional sources that you can find in my previous videos, including his voting and tax record website information, public court information through duty records, the Florida clerk portals, unclaimed property websites, verified license portals, and I used some more complex tools that we'll go over in the future to run his IP address against these sites. Like I said earlier, this is very important to verify before putting anything out there, right? Now, I've then gathered this OSINT info on Stephan's prior addresses, his emails, his phone numbers, and I essentially climbed so far up his ass that I can maybe legally say that I performed a digital colonoscopy on the scumbag. I do not recommend it to that extent, but if you need to verify some simple stuff, you can use the CTRL-F function for each of these to just find what you're looking for in your mountainous pile of perv, okay? So don't forget that you can run all his photos also through image search and see if any other accounts pop up. Then after that, I take all the data, I put that aside because what we can use that for, if need be, is to build a timeline of his whereabouts later. I'm not going to show you that information because other people likely lived with him or live with him as we ponder, you know, they might currently be living at an old residence. Someone might be using an old phone number. And because it's not really necessary to dox someone for the purpose of this discussion, I'm just going to give you a basic timeline of places he lived based on the information that I have gathered, if that's fine with you. Okay, so places Stephan has lived. He, in 2004, was living in Windermere, Florida, which we'll see again in 2019. From 2006 to 2012, he was in California. He was around the San Diego area, and as indicated in his profile, Lake Forest. Okay? Then 2019 Windermere, that area again. I'm assuming this is a house that his mom owns. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but I think that that's what's going on here. Recently, he's been in the Kissimmee and Osceola area pretty much ever since, and Orlando. So that's his he's in Florida and Cali. That's it. You're not going to see much else. Don't forget, you're going to watch every video, by the way, available with pertinent data on him. You're going to check all the web sleuth forums. You're going to go through Reddit, Chan boards, every account that is active, all the missing persons groups. And you're going to learn about this dipshit by noting the things that are factual or confirmed. Listen to the witness interviews of people who knew him or Jen. People that have confirmed info that's matching up to your info. Now, this is a tough one because you're going to have to suffer through some seriously insufferable creators and major news outlets that say stuff like, well, we're not able to independently verify this information, and then an excuse that just isn't good enough. After that, you're going to want to fact check those statements and times from the witnesses to see if they are full of shit or real or mentally ill claims. You do this by cross-referencing with the confirmed data that you have in your OSINT piles. For example, if an old roommate says to a creator in an interview, I was his roommate in New Mexico in 2010, and your records don't indicate that he ever lived in New Mexico. Nobody's records indicate he ever lived in New Mexico. You have yet to see anything regarding New Mexico, and you can't find any information that really lines up with that. Take that information out of your pile. This is the trickiest part of this whole process because we have to use a thing called common sense, and some people ain't got none, okay? We're going to look at some friends who have commented on STEPHAN, and I did block out their information. However, I can tell you I have independently verified that they knew him, and if you were to go find these posts, which are public on Facebook, you will likely be able to confirm it too, based on stuff that we already know that's out there. We know in court records a lot of information about him in general, like where he lived, his address, his phone number. We know based on the scans that we've done what's verified, especially the ones with the pictures of him, especially the ones that have his little Digimon things. And by the way, every time you go look at him on Reddit, for example, let's take a look at this. Every time you go look at his account on Reddit, his Sustenance account, it's nothing but pictures after pictures. And some of these pictures, a lot of them are shown in his other accounts. So obviously this is going to be a great, great cross-referencing tool. God, it's weird how many of these toys he has. And they are so expensive. And look, apparently a duck had been nesting next to their door for a month. Oh, good. Now we know the color of your door, dipshit. Okay, keep going. We're also going to see a couple of other things that I thought were interesting on his Reddit. Today we had company over, which happens rarely. I used it as an excuse to finally make some Meganata margaritas, blah, blah, blah. The point is, it happens rarely that company comes over. This is 2 years ago. He's saying is this Jen? Is this something that we could assume? I don't know, but let's just make a note that he drinks, okay? He drinks. Moving on. It's not judgment or anything, but just he's a drinker. This is the type of thing that we can say, okay, we know this about him. He drinks, and he claims he doesn't have company over that often. Fair enough, all right? So, like this guy, we'll go over what are definitely his accounts in a little bit. But you see very specific things, and you can cross-reference with his Facebook, with other information, and then you can kind of pretty much count those as confirmed, I think. I personally would, but that's kind of up to you on what you want to put out there. I would consider these confirmed, especially once I verified them by name, location, picture. Me personally, I take the extra step and I do a sweep of IP addresses and see if I can find any common ones. And then I run it through a few more software before I go, okay, that's him. But what I also like to do is just whittle down the ones that I am interested in. Like, I don't need to know if his cracked or my builder bodybuilding account is actually him, especially if it's no longer open and there's nothing saved on the Wayback Machine. But if I were to see something about, I don't know, underage kids, yeah, I would probably, especially one that, like, if I see something that's an account that is used by groomers, I'm going to want to hone in on that and definitely verify, especially if there's like a Dropbox account, things like that, okay? So now we're going to put all of these in piles. We're going to put them in a sure pile, a not sure, and a not him pile. So there's going to be the accounts that were positive are him, the ones that we still don't know yet, and then the ones that you are absolutely like, no, it's not him, it is him, blah, blah, blah. Essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find every absolute thing you can on this guy. And then you're just going to want to spread it out like you're Jodie Foster in the new season of True Detective and just look at it and say, am I asking the right questions? You're going to go over all of it. You're going to start whittling it down again. And you're going to start analyzing it based on what is in the confirmed pile. That's what you're going to want to look at. Now, why are we looking at this data? Much of this is cross-referenced with his Facebook, things he literally likes, exact pages for apps that we know he uses based on all this cross-reference material coming together, everything linking, comments on products, his name, his user profile, his location. All of these can use to confirm. Now, we're now going to go figure out exactly what it is we can glean from this data, if you will, all right? Here's the stuff that we can know. Here is also all the websites that I was able to confirm, in addition to the things that we can learn. We can learn about his life from basic stuff like Twitter, Facebook. We know that he likes guns. We know that he likes knives. We know that he likes Disney. We know that he's really into Reddit, Instagram. He's got a Cameo. He's got a TikTok. We know how he portrays himself. We know his innermost thoughts on some things and his fake persona on others. We see his likes, his dislikes, a desire to give advice to young teens, and more. How online was he? Well, we can see. Political stuff. Here is what we discovered politically speaking for STEPHAN, okay? These are accounts, by the way, that I verified and confirmed. I'm not going to show all of them. I'm just going to let you know because some of them are down and I had to do it using IP addresses and emails and it's too much. But I'm going to tell you the ones I confirmed. Some of them you're going to also see in your list through everything we went through earlier, okay? So, political stuff. He had Parler account, a Patriot American ranting account, a right-wing affiliated website or two. He had a dissenter website account, MAGA book. It's not political, but it's news, I guess. He's subscribed to Vape News. And we know that in his Facebook, there's a lot of vaping stuff. So that pretty much seals the deal with that. He is definitely conservative. Finances, stocks, income, debt, and potential work endeavors. What can we glean from the info that we gathered that is positive? First of all, he was into gambling. He had a 2+2 account and a couple of other gambling website accounts. He was into crypto, a lot of it, a lot of crypto, Bitcoin, altcoins. He had digital wallets. This is kind of a red flag to me because if you have somebody with CSAM and they also have crypto accounts, that kind of ups the likelihood, in my opinion, that they're probably trading, potentially distributing or purchasing CSAM. It also ups the likelihood for me that they go on the dark web. Now, listen, I'm not saying that everybody who has crypto goes on the dark web, nor am I saying everything on the dark web or everybody who goes on the dark web commits or purchases CSAM. So there are people who work with police who are in there constantly trying to lure the groomers. Now, when I see crypto with the background Stephen has and the 60 charges he has and the content we know he had on his phone, that's when I worry, is he just using it to buy these goofy toys and shit online, or is he using it to purchase other things? Because you can't use a credit card unless you want to get caught for things like that. So it makes sense that he has a lot of crypto accounts. Now, another account or two that he has is things like Fiverr and TaskRabbit. He definitely had accounts under those at one point in time. That goes into the potential work endeavors grouping simply because we don't really know if he was purchasing things off of it. It seems like he could have been since he was really into creating figures and painting. But he also could have been offering up Fiverrs and TaskRabbits. If you don't know what they are, it's basically where you can go onto an app and you can say, I need someone to paint my fence. I'll give $50 to someone to paint my fence. And someone on TaskRabbit will go, okay, I'll take that task. And then they show up at your house, they paint your fence, and they take your money. Fiverr, it's, I need someone to draw this thing for a project at school, or I want to buy someone's art, or I want someone to make a portrait of me where I look like a Simpsons character. This guy's doing it for $5. You could be the person who produces or the person who, buys. So we don't know which one of those it is. So really this could be a way of him to make money by selling, or it could be a way of him to make money by providing a service. So we then move on to his apartments.com posting. I have yet to see anybody really bring this up. I don't know if anyone has seen this, but if you want to know what kind of listings he had as a realtor, this was one of them. It was a Briarcliff listing. It was over 2 weeks ago. But we know that he lists himself as Call Stephan, and it's got the exact phone number from the affidavit. I found this on my, I told you after running all that stuff, you got to go on your Google searches, you got to go find everything. I narrowed down the dates to prior when he got busted for this. And this is one of the things that came up. And when we look at it, we can see that he is listing this property. So that tells me that he either has a realtor license, or possibly does he own the property? Is his mom brokering it and he's just listing it for her? I know that the real estate laws here in Texas are very specific, but they're very similar to Florida. If he was an apartment locator, the bar would be set a lot lower. he wouldn't necessarily need, he definitely would need a broker's license, and he's likely would be getting some sort of kickback for his apartment locating services. Usually the first month's rent is the equivalent for most of them. That would mean that a piece of shit like him could just rent out one property a month and make rent and have enough to buy his weird toys. So it makes me wonder if that was a past job. He also lists his past jobs on a LinkedIn. If you check that out, there you go. There's some jobs to toss in there, okay? Oddly enough, he has an account for a forum called I Love Growing Marijuana. Now, we know based on the roommate interviews, we can cross-reference that with that information and all of the statements about how much he loved to smoke, and we can say, I wonder why a guy has an account in an I Love Growing Marijuana forum. Was he making his money by growing marijuana? Possible, I would say. He's into computer and gaming, okay? This can be all sorts of things, but I think I told you earlier about my friend who would build up World of Warcraft characters and sell them for insane amounts of money. There is a chance he could be doing this, but with his Tamagotchis. He talks about this in the subreddits that he's in, about how he's, gotten one of them up to 70 pounds, and it seems that he's constantly trading, buying, and selling. And again, he frequents Etsy, resale sites, Poshmark, vintage games. He's got a PayPal and a Cash App, which I think should be listed under his finances. That is very important. That can also be used to purchase all kinds of things and to make money elusively. A suspicious subreddit for substitute teachers that he's on in Reddit makes me wonder, was he a substitute teacher? He definitely worked at Disney at one point. There are literal pictures of him doing it. And on his LinkedIn, as well as his Facebook site, he lists Smart Build, which is a home building company, as one of his past jobs. So I've seen a lot of people going, what this piece of shit do for a living? He doesn't seem to ever have a job, blah, blah, blah. I thought that too. But as I looked into it, he's actually got a lot of little side hustles and apparently a huge obsession with these toys. And it looks like he sells these creations of his and these painted little, I don't know what they're called, stupid figures. It looks like he sells them online. That's it. And if you're into this stuff, I'm not trying to shame you or anything. I just hate it because it's from him. I collect figures and wrestling stuff too, but it's from that dirty pervert dipshit. So we're just gonna call him names right now. Okay. What else did I learn? What else is there as far as verified accounts? Sad to say. I know everybody thought Chatterbait was him. That's not him. That's the Polish fellow. Leave him alone and let him chatterbait. He did nothing wrong. This guy did. So we're going to leave that out. If you need proof, got a pic right here for you. Okay. Now, some of the other accounts that I found of his. He's got Fansly, which is like an OnlyFans type of thing. So Furry. He's got hentai sites. Now, if you don't know what So Furry is, by the way, that's furries. That is people who dress up like furry animals and go fuck each other in the woods. And it's weird, and some people are into it, and I don't get it. I dabbled in mascottery, but it's a weird fetish thing. It's also like a subculture. I can't justify it in any way. It's just bizarre, and it totally lines up with some other information that came up from his friends who claimed that he had him, and they claim Jen, but this is hearsay. This is from them. They said that they had some freaky fetishes, some freaky behavior. Speaking of freaky, he actually had an account with a page that was called She's So Freaky. So he had a She's Freaky account. He had a Fab Swinger account. He was into anime and hentai XXX. Those are disgusting porno cartoons that are basically anime porn, and they are very popular among people who get caught with CSAM. Let's just say that. They're very popular among a lot of freaky pervs, okay? The Fab Swinger account, that's a bit wild. Is that what the friend was talking about? Well, he has the account. Individual porn star sites. He goes to individual porn star pages and he rates them and he discusses them. And he also has a Pornhub, which we're going to look at right now. He has a lot of achievements on there. What a disgusting asshole. Now, I, again, took pictures of this and screenshots when I started looking into it, which was weeks ago before the ban on Pornhub went into effect in Texas. He has Image Fap, She's Freaky, Strip Chat, Scene Porno, X Videos, Adult Forum, XNXX, Friend Finder, Subscribestar, Scene Porno, Watch My Feed, the Tattoo Forum. Some of these, like Tattoo Forum, I cross-referenced, which he likes on Facebook. Then there's Ink Bunny, ManyVids, Teddy Girls, and about 50 others. Now, of those 50, I have cross-referenced as many as I could, and I had to take a break. So far, we're all for go. This guy had a lot of porno accounts. Physical location, where he's been, we can see that Foursquare geocaching. He's got jogging apps, a trail app, and a Map My Tracks. Those are all physical location. The geocaching is very interesting. The fact that he has geolocating apps that he uses or ever used at all, almost all of them are old. So it's just interesting that he kind of stopped tracking as much. Computer aptitude and tech savvy stuff. He had a Hacker Moon, a Hacker One, a Weibo, a Hacker Rank, coding gaming sites with kids like Fortnite, Roblox. He had Pokemon Showdown, which is kid-centric, hub pages, Xbox, gamertag info, World of Warcraft, Warhammer, Fortnite Tracker, Pokemon Go, PC, Part Picker, GitHub, various API-related software and forms involving scraping data, PC Part Picker, and coding websites. Oddly enough, he did not seem to have a lot of security-heavy tech stuff in his background. He had a lot of gaming, obviously, and a lot of coding, but how good he was, I don't know. It seems to me like this guy was dabbling and trying to learn as much as he could. Chances are he's not tech savvy based on the info that was found on his phone, okay? Next, we're going to look at predator-prone, person-to-person apps, websites. These are the ones that involve kids and teens or that kids and teens are actively using heavily. Now, it seems that he might have had 2 Kik accounts that I've found. One of them under his primary user handle and the other one with the underscores that was taken down. He had a Meetup account, a Meet Me, a New Me, a Snapchat Stories, Periscope, Telegram, TikTok, and Tagged. That's a big one. Aha Chat, which is a Singapore and Tamil Indian dating chat and dating service that's marketed and made specifically for teens and children. And it is extremely out of control with little to no regulation. And what's interesting is I thought this could be another user. Like, there's no way it's Steven, but no, it's him. He's also got quite a few Japanese ones that he uses to order his material for his toys. And we cross-reference this by going to his Facebook, and we can see also on his Reddit that he frequently comments about how he ordered this from Japan and he had to learn about it. And I just think that's very interesting because that tells us that he is willing to kind of go outside of the box as far as basic American websites go. And we do see that in his OSINT history because he does have a lot of accounts for currency yen sites, Japanese purchasing sites, the Japanese version of eBay, like I said earlier, Weibo. He frequents a lot of gamer stuff in Japan, and he, with that currency site and then the crypto, he definitely purchases stuff from other countries, namely the toys. We don't know anything else yet, but just wanted to point that out. He also has a Scout Wiki and an Animal Planet, and also has a Girl Scouts of America type of like on his Facebook, which is very interesting. Anime Planet, hentai, these are, they can be things that gamers like, but the hentai is really like incel-y, I'm going to be honest with you. He also, as far as his personality goes, his innermost thoughts, Reddit is his main thing. But he does have a past a long time ago with Blogger, Blogspot, WordPress, Zynga, and Insane Journal. And the Insane Journal is actually kind of up in the air right now. I'll get back to you on that. But the other 4, he definitely had. They are not recoverable simply because it is very outdated data, but those exist. So those are the confirmed accounts from the groupings that I showed you of STEPHAN's. When you see someone posting, oh my God, he had Chatterbait, that's not him. Now, how I found these, how I showed you, and then a couple of other tools that I use because I'm crazy and I had to know. Now, other things we could find about STEPHAN online through basic searches. I found an apartments.com ad that I already showed you. I also found this Sunshine Ventures Management based on the information that was given when you look up the centerpiece properties for this apartments.com ad. Then we see that he lists himself on his LinkedIn as a permit coordinator for Smart Build Capital from 2017 to 2018 and a real estate agent at HomeClicks Realty for 3 years, 2014 to 2017. He claims he worked at Disney for over a year. He also apparently fake reviewed Jen's Rover account. Jen apparently used to walk dogs with Rover. Now we know a little more about her. He went into her account and left a review. Check that out. Now, it is also important to note that normally I would be doing a fuller deep dive and showing you, likely some Jen stuff, but let's not do that right now because, I would feel really bad, especially if she did have extreme mental illness and was taken advantage of or vulnerable or, suffered as a result of being a victim herself to pile on right now. However, I will admit all of her interviews were extremely sus, very contradictory, and very fishy. Okay, so what did we learn today with the data that we collected based on his overall history of active accounts involved with RPGs, LARPing, WoW, D&D, all of the things that are gamer related, which is the same nerdy stuff that many of us loved as kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some of us still love it as adults. But in regards to STEPHAN, with what we now know, it indicates a very fantasy-driven mind that, again, in my opinion, is a little bit scary when you combine it with the fetish-based sexual accounts that also cross over with childlike content. Stuff like furry sites, hentai-heavy content that is of the younger variety, younger age-specified porn stars, cam girls, voyeur and role-playing games in the bedroom, in addition to all of the BDSM and fetish accounts and the swinger accounts. STEPHAN's fantasy drive seems to be heavily influenced in his hobbies and his sexual desires, both having similar themes of role-playing, voyeurism, things like someone being very dominant over somebody who's extremely submissive, and really, really a lot of heavy hentai and furry stuff. I cannot stress that enough. I have to say, his fantasy drive is really, really scary. There are some very obvious red flags with somebody who simultaneously has indicators that he spent a ton of time at home. At first, I thought that he was likely a mooch off of Jen, hence why she had to work on Maddie's birthday. I was trying to consider reasonable possibilities as to why her timeline didn't match up, or perhaps why she would be vulnerable to not even seeing anything going on in her house. I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, and I still am, but I really did think he could have been taking advantage of her. And then the more I look at this data, I'm starting to sway kind of in the middle, maybe more to otherwise. Because when you look this over, you have to consider a lot of the abuse in the affidavit happened in the summer months. That was being his main focus time for the abuse. And it makes me wonder if he purposefully kept jobs, or conveniently for him, kept jobs that were at his own pace. Independent contracting based, stuff where he could make his own schedule, or simply home-based work, leaving him free to babysit his victim. I don't think it's a stretch to consider. For anyone wondering how he made money, consider the data that points to the potential sources for employment, i.e. delivery jobs, TaskRabbit and Fiverr, on your own schedule there. It's creator-based, so he could likely just be selling some of the toys he makes, which are displayed all over Reddit. He could be trading online. He could be trading characters in games and trading up. He could be selling a lot of his items. He did have an Etsy account. He had other seller-based accounts like Poshmark and whatnot. He could be building up WoW characters for money, which is extremely popular, and he was very online in a ton of gaming sites. He could be buying and selling vintage toys, which we've already discussed, but that market is huge. He's crypto-obsessed, and he was a pandemic-era realtor. And apartment locators over in Florida make a lot of money, just like in Texas. 100% of the first month's and sometimes last month's rent, all he had to do was rent out one house and he was good for the whole month. So considering the apartments.com ad and the information that, while outdated, was available on his LinkedIn, while I have yet to see any confirmation for a substitute teaching background, though, I do want to throw that in because I do wonder if he did at one point, and that is only based on his Reddit history where he is heavily discussing substitute teaching in a substitute teaching board. So I do wonder if he did that in the past, but as far as during the time of Maddie's abuse, I also wonder that. However, I do think that it was likely this was something he was looking into, which is terrifying, or something that, again, a fantasy of his, because he spoke on it as if he had experience. Now, because I have yet to see any sort of teaching, licensing, or certification, and I'm not entirely sure exactly what Florida's requirements are, but I did look for some lists on where to get information on substitute teachers, and it seems very heavily protected. So I don't know for sure if there is any possibility there, but because of the way he talks about it, it makes me think he really did desire that, and that is really scary. Again, this kind of plays into the fantasy element. A lot of the stuff on STEPHAN's history, especially when it comes to apps and predator-prone P2P apps, like peer-to-peer, people being able to talk via webcam, video service, Telegram, TikTok, Tagged, Periscope, Snapchat. We already went through all these. These are sites and apps that are frequented by both adults and children sometimes, but heavily frequented by groomers. Now, I named a whole bunch of them. There's still a whole bunch more left to confirm because, like I said, this guy is very online. He also had a lot of games like Pokemon Go and apps like games like Roblox, apps like Pokemon Go. He did have a lot of API-related scraping software, coding, part picker. He was very much into computers. This guy had physical location data, heavy websites that would track you, literally geocaching style websites, which makes me think, oh no, was he out geocaching in the woods? Something that kids like to do. There are a lot of red alert type of apps that really do freak me out and accounts that really freak me out. Stuff like Watch My Feed, stuff like the Tattoo Forum, by the way, can be backed up on his social media accounts like Facebook. He likes a lot of these accounts openly in public on his Facebook that seem kind of innocuous. And then when you look at these accounts here, it makes a lot more sense. Cowboys for Angels, I'm still trying to figure that one out. It does link to him. I don't know if he wanted to be a cowboy or an angel, but again, this guy is fantasy driven because there is no way in hell he's ever going to be a cowboy. He's going to be someone's cowboy in jail though. Somebody's horse. This guy's disgusting, man. I'm very surprised at the amount of Blogger, Blogspot, Zango, all that stuff. The older sites that have like a lot of, I would say, diary stylistic writings in them, but some people use them for more of like a status update type of thing the older they got. But I am curious to really dive into that. I did look into some of it. Unfortunately, STEPHAN was not very popular growing up. He did not get web crawled or get anything screenshot for Wayback Machines, so we may likely never see that. I have yet to see any in cache history on any of these sites, but I mean, I do think that there are some out there based on the fact that there is cache history for the URL existing. There's just no data. The pages don't load. And a lot of that has to do with the phasing out of things like Flash and older Java and stuff like that. But I also want to point out, this guy had an Amazon package that was shown on his Reddit when he was bragging about some toys he got or something. And he ordered it from Japan. And that clicked right away because we see a lot of foreign currency sites, yen sites to buy his digi stuff. But we also saw a lot of sites ranging from the Philippines to China to Japan to various other places where there are not only a lot of apps focused towards teens that are totally legal in some of those places, but there are also a lot of the toys and the things that he likes to trade and forums for that. And he did have a Weibo, and he had other accounts that make me think he may have been dabbling in a foreign language. He does discuss how difficult it was to translate everything and make references to learning various other Eastern languages for the sake of making for easy trading. But it really does freak me out when I see AHA Chat and various others that some of them I have yet to verify, but the ones that I mentioned to you, I have verified. And we did verify quite a few of these on our own. But it makes for a disturbing profile now that we know what we know, which is that he has 60 counts on him. And, fuck that guy. I don't know what to say. He's a terrible person. And, I'm so depressed. This is so sad. And I just want to encourage everybody, don't go dox that Polish guy. Leave him be. And, don't dox anybody who didn't enable him. And you have to have proof, and also just actually don't do that. Don't do that at all. So keep in mind, when it comes to this specific what'smyname.app source, the account gathered in the red column on What's My Name is indicative of either no data available because there never was an account. However, this does not mean these accounts do not exist under other screen names for that particular person or known aliases, entities online, if you will. It simply means that they don't exist for this given screen name. Meaning like Sustanet. You're just searching for Sustanet or any other handles you put in here. So it's not going to also auto look up his IP or auto look based on information within that account, like emails that are common. It's not going to do that. It's just going by that screen name that you put in. So just keep that in mind. Also, when you get a positive result or a false positive, it is not cross-verifying, okay? It's not auto-verifying this account in any way, being linked to STEPHAN himself, but instead, it's just showing you that an account exists under the given screen name or handle searched, okay? So the important part comes basically when you're analyzing each individual account, like I'm going to show you here, in the interpreting of the data, if you will. This requires judgment, obviously, common sense, context clues. I think it's the trickiest part of the OSINT process, especially if you're someone who is like really married to a suspect and you want it to be them. If you can't verify it, you can't verify it. And Marie Kondo says, get it out of the garage. Okay. Also, it's just a handful of accounts that come back for his username because we're just using this method with this specific screen name. But other methods that I did use provided further results, and I went ahead and included the ones that I could verify in my list at the end. So, the current findings thus far, I mean, it's a process. It's going to take forever. I pretty much have given up because I know he's a pervert and the cops are going to figure out who he is. But I've done as many as I could for you. And in an effort to be thorough, I would suggest trying to run any false positive links through the Wayback Machine as well, if the link is currently broken and this is your bag. This is what you want to do. This could yield some potential results with which to analyze and verify from the past, although the reds I would just throw out, to be honest. I do hope that this helps you and can be applied to further research on any other cases that you may be researching, my Snoopy Dupas, or if you're just observing or responding to them casually. I just hope that you use these tools ethically and to help navigate you through fakery, foolery, fuck shittery, all that. Pardon my French, I'm mad today. But yeah, thank you for watching thus far. And please check out part 2, where I will continue to run this down with some answers to questions that you guys sent me. We're going to debunk common conspiracies in this case and put some respect on my girl's name. And I'll give you some general thoughts on the case as far as just my opinions. Okay. I'm definitely going to yell and rant and rave a lot and probably say bad words as well in the next video. So you're not going to want to miss it. I wonder what my eyebrows will look like. Okay, remember, be nice, be patient, always do your research, but be nosy.